Yep, seems like yep, we are live. So, welcome everyone who is joining us via Zoom or via Facebook or any other platform. Welcome to our Thursday webinar, as we call it. And today's webinar is going to be on a very interesting topic, and I think everybody thinks about this topic a lot recently, probably the last month, how to protect your team and business from this pandemic. And we invited our friends from Michael's Labs to talk about this, as they have experience of working remotely for a pretty long time already. So please welcome our speaker, Owais Afaq, partner and CTO of Michael's Labs, and he will tell us about his team and also about the topic. So, Owais, the stage is yours.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. So today we have to talk about this this topic has risen up in the past few weeks a lot more than it was before. And companies were focusing on building cultures within like physical proximity. But now as this pandemic has forced us into working from home and isolating ourselves. So this has become a big challenge, which many companies were not thinking about. So at Mikhail's Labs, we had been focusing on working with remote locations for almost 2 years. And even before that, I personally and my founders have had experience working with remote teams. So this is kind of a topic that we had been focusing on since the beginning. So I would like to share some insights about the current situation and also about how to build this culture within your teams remotely. I have a quick presentation, so I'll share that now. I hope you can see my screen. So, working from home, how this situation has been affecting us as humans. Let's first focus on that side. So the news is right now. News is focusing on the health and economic aspect of this pandemic. So because there is a lot of news, and obviously those two topics are the most primary topics that people are worried about. But due to these two fears, the economic collapse and the health issues that are coming with this virus, humans are also getting affected on a emotional level. Mental health is being affected, and not many people are acknowledging this fact for themselves and for their teams. So what is happening with humans right now? They are living in this constant fear. They are unable to channelize their energy by socializing. They are getting bored, frustrated. They're feeling all these emotions that generally, when you're busy in your routine life, when you're hanging out with friends, when you have all the things that you want to do and you enjoy, you don't feel these things. But now this situation has given everybody so much time to think about all these aspects of reality, as we call it, that people are getting demotivated, depressed. They are having all these human emotions that are amplified right now. But everybody has different situations, and everybody is feeling things and going through things in a different way. As company leaders, we don't just need to give them generalized empathy. We don't need to say, this time is tough for everybody, so we understand this. This doesn't cut it right now. You have to focus on a specific situations with everybody. So some of your employees might be going through extensive housework during this time. Some of the employees might be dealing with distractions at home because of kids. Some of them might be unable to get the necessary items from stores, might not be able to get out of the house properly, because in different cities the situation is completely different. In Estonia, for example, the lockdown is uh, lenient in a way that you can get out of your house, you can go to the grocery store. In Karachi, where our other offices, the military and police is stopping people from getting out of the house unnecessarily. So you have to consider every situation according to the person's life, and for that you have to talk to your people, you have to understand what they are going through, not as a generalized group of people, but as a person, what they're going through. The other important thing that I have realized during this time, seeing different companies coming out with different policies and different ways of dealing with culture, is that companies before this pandemic happened had a certain kind of culture that was uh, hidden in a way. So people were not trusting each other, managers were micromanaging, everything was going in a specific way. But this pandemic has just amplified those things. It has not only brought difficulty in executing the simple tasks of the day, but it has amplified what your culture was before. So if your people didn't trust each other, if your managers didn't trust the employees, now it has amplified. So all those feelings are just carrying forward from the previous culture that companies had. So the number one thing that people need to ask themselves, managers and company owners, is that this communication gap, the problems that your culture is facing right now, is it actually because of the physical distance, or is it carried forward from issues that you had in the past in your company, but you were not giving your focus on them? The other thing that companies are now doing, or the first thing that managers have as their go to move, is to throw tools and policies over the problem so that it will get fixed right away. But like in our company, when we had to work from home, we were forced to work from home in both the offices. So we started thinking about revised policies. What do we need to do to cater for this situation? But after having a management meeting, talking to the leaders of the company, we found out that we didn't need to change it. We didn't need to revise any policies at all, because bringing more policies to monitor people, that was not part of the culture before as well. We were not monitoring uh, people's time when they were working, when they were coming to the office. We had a free culture anyways, so it doesn't matter whether the person is sitting in the office or whether they're sitting at home. Our policies were designed to give empowerment to the people, to trust them, and we didn't need to change that. But what we needed was to have those tools in place that the gaps were being created because people were not able to talk to each other in the office. They were not able to have lunch together. They were not able to play games together. So this is the gap that was being created, that we had to fill through tools, but we did not need policies to make sure that the person is working or not, because we were not doing this before as well. But how do you sustain and build connection during this time if you have a team that was already working in the office together and they had their routines? They were having coffee together, they were having lunch together, they were playing games together. All these routines and activities have kind of disappeared now. So what you can do to build connection in this part with tools and policies is to bring in routines. Management or leadership can bring in routines and activities that can play a part in enabling those connections that are broken right now. So, for example, some companies have started having tea time at a certain time in the day. So, from 5 to 5:15, you will be having tea together. Just open your video cam and sit together, have tea, talk about things like you did before. Some companies are playing games together. So, in our company, for example, we have a tool that gives us visibility of the whole company. I'll show it in the next slide. So we use that to bring people together so that they can talk more when they are free, when they feel the need to socialize. So this is what companies can do to enable those connections. Other thing is to prioritize coaching sessions for emotional well-being. So in our company, from the very beginning, we have a clinical psychologist and an organizational psychologist, and their job is to make sure that people are happy, satisfied with the job, with the culture, with each other, and to take care of their emotional well-being. In this situation, their job became even more important because now they have to do this remotely. They have to talk to people, make sure that they are doing fine. If they're going through some emotional issues because of whatever is happening in their personal life, whatever they're feeling because of this pandemic. So those issues need to be catered through sessions, and people need to be coached how to deal with these situations. So when you're coming to the office, you have a routine, you don't even think about distractions because you know where you want to sit. If you want to have a meeting, where you have to go in the office. But at home, these situations become tough for people. Children start becoming distractions. Family members don't sometimes understand the importance of a meeting and importance of distraction free time. So people need to be coached how to deal with these situations. And the role of the HR in this scenario is very, very important. And role of the team leads and management is very important to make sure that people know how to cope with these situations. One more thing that people need right now is unconditional trust. Companies are giving trust, but also putting conditions on that trust right now. And that seems fake because it is fake. It's not coming from the heart. People know that you don't trust them. And you can use the word as much as you want that we trust our people, we trust that they can work from home. But your policies and your questions and the routines that you set for them, they define whether you actually trust them or not. I've seen companies that are monitoring people's screens throughout the sessions when they're working from home. Some companies are asking for a report every hour, what you have worked on last hour and what you're working on now. All these situations are creating the feeling of mistrust. They're basically revealing the true face of managers. And people don't need that right now. People need emotional support and trust to go through this. Visibility has been lost for people. They don't know whether the other person is available right now, whether they are free, they're working on something in the office. You see that a person is wearing headphones and is typing on the keyboard, so you know that they're busy and you come back later. But in this situation, you don't know whether the person is busy or not, whether he's available or not. So in this, visibility helps. I have a 40-second video to show the tool that we are using for that. It's called Sokoko.
Let's drop by an office to explore. See how the entire team is present together in the same place in real time, no matter where they might be physically located. It looks like the marketing team is meeting in the conference room. You can see Emily speaking and sharing her screen. And Dave just went to get Chris to bring him into the room. Look over to the lobby and you'll see Laura from sales meeting with a potential client she's invited into the office. In the break room, it looks like John and Taylor are just catching up. Let's knock and go in. Tap to turn on your voice and video and share your screen. Message your teammates with Sococo's chat tool.
This is a tool that we introduced after the pandemic happened, and we had to work from home, because this tool enables visibility. Now, all the features that it has, you can do it via Zoom, you can do it via Hangouts. It doesn't give you anything special to work together, but what it gives is the sense of culture. So it's a psychologically enabling mechanism that you feel connected with your team. So when we introduced this tool in the team, we could see that people are hanging out in the kitchen, for example, and somebody who just wanted to take a break from the work, they go and see that, okay, these two people are talking right now, I can also join them. The door is open, I can join. And this created this sense of connectivity that you have in the office. You see that somebody is in the break room, somebody is in the kitchen, and you just walk in and start talking. If the door is closed, you know that there's a meeting going on, you cannot interrupt. So this visibility helped us a lot in creating that sense of culture. And people are using it actively to have, they're even playing games, they're talking to each other. The HR is available in her room, and people walk into the room and talk to her. The HR, if she sees that somebody is in the break room, she goes, talks to them about how the day is going, how everything is going. So these abrupt conversations that are part of a company's culture in the office, they are not possible via Zoom meetings. You cannot just send a Zoom link to somebody and ask to talk. People don't do that usually. You can obviously do it, but you don't do it. So this thing is something that helped us. So it's worth looking into. It might help your company as well.
Let's drop by.
Now, as a leader, you have to be really conscious and woke about what you are responsible for. What companies and leaders don't understand in general as well, not just in a work from home or a pandemic situation, is that you as a leader, you're not responsible for the clients if you have a bigger team. You are responsible for the people who are responsible for the clients. So your responsibility as a leader, you are in charge of the people that are under you, not for the clients. So you have to actively think about their well-being, their motivation, how they are performing, and helping them. And they in turn help the client. That brings revenue, that grows the company. So first thing that people need to understand is, even in this situation, you're not responsible for the client's happiness. You're responsible for the people who are responsible for the client's happiness. The second thing is, are you looking at the short term right now, or are you looking at the long term? When I say long term, it's not just 1 month ahead or 2 months ahead when this ban will be lifted or when people will be back in the office. But long term, in a way that people right now have this fear that the productivity of their team is going down, and they somehow need to control it. And the situation in the next 2 months will be something else, and they somehow need to control it. But understanding from a business perspective, we don't have that much control over things right now. Nobody has. So what we can do is think about the long-term implications of whatever actions you are doing right now, whatever you're talking about in the company right now, and think about the long-term implications of it. If your people are not happy, if their productivity is going down, you need to understand what are the issues that are responsible for it. If it's distractions at home, this is not something that you can control directly. You cannot force somebody to lock their children in a room, for example. So you have to understand and help them in dealing with this short-term situation, which will be over eventually in a few weeks or a month or 2 months. Nobody knows. But short-term problems should have short-term solutions. You should not be considering those issues as a long-term problem. If somebody's productivity is going down because they're depressed and they're unable to meet their friends and hang out, this is again a short-term issue which will go away when things go back to normal, whatever the normal will be. So considering the long-term implications of this, you don't have to get worried about how this is impacting your culture in the bigger picture. The more important part right now is to solve those issues in the short term. And most issues right now are coming from people's emotions, your own emotions, your people's emotions. So this is what you are mainly responsible for. You have to manage your own fear. You have to manage your own lack of control that you have on your company culture or business right now. You have to manage it, and then you have to manage it for your people. Because if you are not emotionally stable in this situation, that will impact your people automatically. So first, manage your own emotions, be responsible for them, and then give other people sense of emotional intelligence that they need right now. This is the most ignored part of culture generally, and also right now because it has like the automatic factors of relationship formation are now out of the window. So this is now being ignored most, relationships. When we are onboarding new people in a company, when when they're coming to the office, so without a work from home situation, when we are onboarding new people, the company automatically brings them into the culture. They automatically get onboarded. The role of the HR and the managers is limited. And when this person has lunch with other people, when they go on a smoking break, for example, when they have a coffee break, the company culture automatically onboards the new person. And this forms relationships. Right now, this is not happening. So onboarding new people is becoming extremely difficult for companies who are hiring. So for example, we onboarded one developer last month, this month in the beginning of April. And our primary focus was to strengthen those relationships that will not form automatically now. When this person joins in, there won't be any lunch, there won't be coffee, he won't be able to talk to other people. So the management team's responsibility is to enable those connections for the newcomer. So we organized a meet and greet session where everybody joined in, introduced themselves, talked to the guy, made him feel welcome. Then in the ongoing process, the HR had talks with him, talked about how he's feeling. Is he feeling welcomed? Is he having any problems that need to be resolved? Does he have all the information he needs to do his job well? His direct manager, he talks to him about the work, how he can help him in onboarding with the company. So this kind of relationship formation is now not organic. We have to force it. We have to create routines for it. Giving and receiving feedback, the same thing. When there's communication happening face to face, a lot of things are normalized by body language. But when the same things are happening over text, so when you're giving feedback over chat, this becomes an issue because a lot of things can be misread, misinterpreted. So making sure that you have a good procedure for giving and receiving feedback, doing it on call, doing it on video call, this helps a lot. And then understanding that you have to be more polite and more aware of what you're saying than before because of this physical proximity gap that we have. Task reporting, how it was going before, people were not distracted by surroundings. Their emotional states were in a normal pace and normal state. So if they had task reporting process, they were following it pretty easily. Right now, if you add more task reporting processes just because you are concerned that the other person is not working, this will only create frustration and the performance of people will go down. So you have to empathize with the situation and come up with ways where people can easily report what they're doing rather than making it difficult for them just because you want it to be easier for you. Same thing is with performance monitoring. It's very easy for companies to install a software in somebody's laptop and monitor what they're doing. But you have to ask yourself, is it strengthening relationships or is it creating a sense of mistrust? So anything that you're doing should be relationship centric. You should be aware, or your managers who are dealing with people should be aware of what the performance level of the other person is and why it's going up or down. People's relationship before this, it was based on physical presence, so they knew what was happening, they could see what's happening in the company. But now there's a lot of fear, and to overcome that, managers have to create this sense of comfort where they can have open relationships within themselves. They can talk about their feelings, they can say if they make a mistake, they can say if they are not feeling up to the mark of working. So this comfort and transparency has to be brought into those relationships now. Communication and conflicts, these are the things that are majorly affected by this whole situation. Relationships before, in the office, they had more communication even outside work, and conflicts were less because you understand the people that you're dealing with. But now, because the communication is going down, conflicts are going up, and to manage them, the easiest way is to increase communication with activities and with sessions outside of work domain, so that people understand each other's mental situation right now, and they can empathize when there is a conflict situation. This is the most important part, that whatever you do right now, whatever your company is doing right now, people will remember it, whether it's something good or it's something bad. This will not end with the pandemic. It will carry forward and it will become a permanent part of your company. If you show them trust, they will remember that. If you show that you don't trust them, they will remember that as well. Thank you.
Thank you for your talk. I know that we have some of the questions from the audience who registered before. Can you go through the questions? I will read them down and you just reply as.
Yeah.
So Andrea was asking how not to lose connection between colleagues, how to be more productive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, as I said in the presentation, that during this time, the connection part has to come either from managers or from people within the team. So everybody has to think actively about routines that they can set, like feasibly set within the team, where they can talk to each other, where they can have fun together, like they used to do before in the company. So they need to come up with activities. They need to come up with chat sessions, funny questions. Like, for example, we did this video question We use Workplace for our communication. So it's like Facebook for organizations. So we did this video posting activity where the HR asked 3 questions. What is the most funny thing that happened to you during this work from home? And what is the worst thing about this situation that you're facing? And one more question like this. And then people responded by recording videos and posting it as comments. So when you see people talking, you have this sense of connection. You remember their faces. You remember all the feelings, good feelings that you had in the office. So activities and sessions like this, they bring connection within the teams, not work-related meetings. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And we have a question under the Facebook Live. So if the culture is off, I just understood it, and I'm not even sure I have right people on board, what to do then?
If you don't have the right people on board, it's a vague and broad question, but I'll try to assume that people when you're saying not the right people, you're facing challenges by doing these activities. So first you have to understand on an individual level, this cannot be a generalized statement, not right people. It's a very generalized statement. You have to understand each person's problems individually. What are they facing? And if 8 people are facing the same problem, then there's only one thing common between those 8 people, and that is you. So you might be the problem. So you have to be open about it as well. That maybe it's not the people that are the problem. Maybe it's the policies of the company that are creating those issues.
Thank you. And again, another question from one of our listeners. I have 100% remote team, but every now and then I feel a little bit frustrated because of the distance. I'd love to learn how I can manage to manage a remote team more efficiently.
Yeah, so if you're aiming for efficiency, then tools and routines, these are the 2 things that work really well. So if you know about the project management methodology, Scrum, for example, what happens is you have a meeting at the beginning of the week where you talk about the priorities, problems, and progress with all of the people. And then you let them be and they work on whatever they're working on. And then you touch base with them again and then see what problems and progress happened during this time. And then you solve those issues. So routine, like every week, everybody knows that there will be a meeting. This is what they're expecting. This is the talking points that they need to have. So everybody's prepared for those meetings. And then for urgent communication, you have group channels for specific topics. So if you're using Slack or Work Chat or any similar tool, you create group channels for specific topics where if somebody has a problem or comment, they just post it there and whoever is relevant responds to it. So the whole team has a visibility of what's going on with the projects.
Thank you. And again, another question, in terms of the team, how to maintain high motivation of all of the team members, because definitely there will be somebody who is less motivated and there will be somebody who is more motivated. And actually, how do you or how can you define this, as you are actually not seeing people in an everyday life? So probably you can see it from emotions, but screen does not show emotions so properly as face-to-face communication.
Mm-hmm. There are 2 aspects to it, as I understand. One is that you have group sessions, as I said, like activities where people contribute, and even the ones that are not contributing, they are just silent in those sessions. They are contributing in a way because they're taking that high energy and whatever, like everybody's having fun. They subliminally absorb that energy and it reflects in their motivation after that in their work. The second thing is, if you see somebody particularly is demotivated, their motivation is going down, then you should have an individual call with that person. You should just call them up and ask, I feel that you're not okay. Can I help in some way? What are you facing? Like, what are the issues that you're facing? Can I help? This offering of help sometimes means a lot more than the actual help itself. Even if they don't tell you, even if they don't share their problem, just the sense that you care for them, you asked and offered to help, this can automatically raise their motivation. This should come from the top leadership as well, not just from colleagues.
Okay, thank you. That's really valuable. And another question, it's probably a little bit off topic, but still, how to hire your first employee? What are your thoughts on it? Like when we hire our first employee, there is not a working environment, and we are expecting so much from that employee. So basically, like you're the founder or of the company, you have to hire the first employee. So how to hire and how to start to build the culture inside your, like, for that time, small team?
Yeah, for me, the first employee, this is like the cornerstone of the company. This is the person that will be building the culture, that will be building the company with you. So this person needs to be 100% sold on the vision of the company that you have. And for that, you first need to have the vision of the company. What do you want to build? Why are you building that? Like, can you give this idea to a person and excite them? Not everybody will get excited by your ideas, but then there will be one person who just has this epiphany. Yeah, I believe in this and I want to build this with you. That is the person that you want to hire. Skills are easy to find, but this motivation and this uh, connection with the company and its vision, this is the most important thing for the first employee. The skills they can learn on the go as well. You don't have to focus on this person's skill set rather than their values. Are their values aligned with yours or not? So this is like the kind of interview you would be having with your first employee, would be about values, would be about their purpose. Why are they coming into the company? Why are they not going into some other company and doing something else? So you need to sell them the vision and the idea.
Yeah, that's very important. And about the conflicts, you can pretty much see if there is a conflict when you work at the same office between some of the employees. How do you notice or see if there is a conflict between the employees who work remotely, and how to deal with that? Because this is basically the thing that you cannot notice so quickly, but at the end it can bring some issues to the team in general.
Yeah, one-on-one sessions. Like, this is the most simple answer, that you need to have a like routine for one-on-one sessions with your team, and they should trust you to tell what they have felt, what they have been through. If they had a conflict with somebody, they should trust you enough to tell it to you. So having this connection with each and every employee individually of the company is very important. And then you have those talks with each employee, even if you're having like monthly one-on-ones, but you at least should have a one-on-one with every employee. And it's not important for the CEO to have these, but it can also come from the HR, it can also come from a manager. But then they escalate the issue, that if there is a conflict, then that issue can be resolved later on. But you would have to ask to know. People won't come to you, and you cannot just wait and uh, expect people to come to you with conflicts or issues. You have to ask.
Yeah, it's, and actually basically when you ask them, you just showing them that they can trust you at some point. But what if people have this defensive mode on, I'd say, and they say, if you ask them, hey, how are you, like, what is wrong, tell me, and I want to help you, and they say, no, I'm okay, everything's fine. So how to deal with this, I don't know, like hard people, I'd say, or those who don't want to open up?
If they don't tell you, they don't trust you. So there's an underlying problem to that. It's not just asking. Like, it's very easy to like say this sentence, is everything okay with you? You will say, yeah, it's okay. We move on. But having that setting or that conversation, this requires relationship building. That's again what I was talking about. The most important thing is building that relationship. That relationship doesn't come from work, it doesn't come from feedback meetings, it comes from outside work, what you talk about other than work. So if you're having a general conversation with somebody, even before they were feeling bad or demotivated, then you have that relationship and you would be the first person they would come to if they have a problem. So this relationship building is not when there's a problem. You should have this relationship from the day one when employees come to your company. They should have a relationship with each other, with your company, with you, so that when problems come, they come to you. Or when you ask, they have this confidence that they can share it with you.
Yes, that's the matter of trust, and that's the matter of whether you share the same values with the person and with your team. That's actually basically what you were talking about. So if you have any more questions, please write them down. Well, I will have one more question. Like, the main point you want people to take away from your talk, like it's either should be the quote or the message, or like 1, 2, 3, just something that you would want people to remember from your talk.
Yeah, business right now for people is about money, it's about success, it's about power. But at the core of it, business is about human values and humans. And that is what we are missing from our culture in general, not in this pandemic, but generally, companies don't have that. They don't put humans first, they don't put emotions first. And empathy is lacking from leadership. People are just managing employees to get money out of them. And this is not a sustainable way to build a business. And when these kind of pandemics happen, they reveal the problems in our systems. They reveal the problems in our companies, not create them. Right now, what we are seeing, the problems that we are seeing, these are not created right now. They were created well before this happened. And now they're just being revealed to us. So what we should focus on is building those relationships with people, showing empathy, being leaders rather than managers. So that would be my message.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you so much for really wise words that I actually made some notes to myself as well. And yeah, at the end of the day, people are working with people, people are interacting with people, and we always have to remember that. Thank you again for joining us, and thank you for whoever were listening us. Wish you all to have a good day.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.